Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with The Batman Who Laughs #2. We went over issue 1 in the single floppies, but I decided instead of wrecking my original individual issues, I picked up the collected trade so I could reread the story and get some background stuff. Like I have a variant cover for issue 2, so this is the original. So it's cool to just have Jacques' initial idea on what he wanted for the cover. Now, for the last issue we went over, the Batman Who Laughs is pulling different Bruce Waynes from different dimensions. Most of them are older and have given up Batman, and he's collecting something from them. Something else that happened from that issue was the Joker shooting himself. Spoilers if you've not read this. If you have, pause this review, go pick up issue 1, then come back. And you're back. So, we're in the main continuity universe. And just as Batman suspected the Joker's heart did have the transformation toxin, so as you can see here at the end of issue 1, how Bruce is now infected, and Joker essentially said that in order to beat the Batman Who Laughs, he has to be that Batman. So then we move into issue 2. And now there's one thing that I do want to say here. In the last issue, in issue 1, we see the Grim Knight, the Punisher-esque Batman, going through Arkham, lights Mr. Freeze on fire, and then there's this brutal scene of him taking it's like a pickaxe or something, and just splitting it right down the middle of Joker's head. It's a very graphic scene. Jacques' artwork on this book is really intense and really adds to it. And as I was just saying, this is why I wanted the collected trade, because you get background inks like this, you get some concept art, and I think that's really cool. But anyway, back to what I was talking about, gruesomeness aside, is I do wish that DC would commit to the bit. So as you're reading this, Alfred's trying to save Joker after Joker shoots himself in the heart to release the newly poisonous gas that's infecting Batman. And sorry, I haven't had enough coffee today, but what I'm trying to get at is there's dialogue in the last issue where they say, oh, that was the fake Joker. He must have swapped out the bodies, etc., so forth, and Mr. Freeze is recovering. I wish DC would commit to the bit. If you're going to kill characters, kill them. I feel like, the Joker's a very much loved villain. But you have a good villain, or a good hero, you always want a good villain. Just like in G.I. Joe. You love the Joes, but you love Cobra. You love the Commander, Baroness, Destro, etc., so forth, especially Storm Shadow. But anyway, it gives a chance for growth and to create new characters. And I hate to say it, but a lot of modern writers, I don't think, could pull it off. There's been a few. Like, Donny Cates created Null and Venom, and people thought he was a really good villain. Tinian created Punchline, and she shouldn't have worked, but she's become a fan favorite over Harley. And I can't wait, McFarlane, if you're listening, we need a multiverse Punchline. Just saying. But sadly, all of this leads to, of course, Mr. Freeze being fine, Joker being fine. And I feel like when they do that, it takes the punch away. And I said this in our review of Batman 100, the Joker War, that logically should have ended with the Joker being killed. But Tinian, of course, probably did not have the authority to kill him. So that's why he just kind of disappeared, and that's why we get the miniseries. But I do feel like, in the sense, for mainstream comic books to survive, there needs to be some sort of growth and shakeup. But that aside, Snyder's writing on top of this gorgeous work from Jock, it's interesting. So it says, when I was training to be Batman, traveling the globe, it struck me how many different cultures cite the heart as a location in the body where happiness lives. There's science to it, though. Happiness, joy, they require more blood from the heart than other emotions. It's what you reach to protect when you're scared, not your throat or any other vulnerabilities like exposed arteries or nerves, things that I target when I fight. And then he's talking about in the alley how his dad put his hands around Bruce when he got shot. He goes, when the explosion came, I thought I'd been hit. I was sure. but my heart had only skipped a beat. Then his hand was falling away, and everything was different. That missing beat, though, sometimes I think I live my whole life inside that missing beat. That's some damn good writing compared to during the Dark Knight's death metal. It was just kind of blasé. But anyway, I just thought that was a good way to introduce it. And then Jock showing Bruce after being infected with the Joker toxin. Gorgeous. It's like, to me, it reminds me of Mike Mignola. And, his artwork's always been great on Hellboy, Gotham by Gaslight. And you can just see that very noirish inspiration here. So before we go further into this is the Batman Who Laughs Part 2, as I just said, The Laughing House. Scott Snyder writer, Jacques artist, David Barron colors, Sal Caperno doing the letters. Here's everyone else working on the book. And Batman was created by Bill Finger with Bob Kane. And now, Alfred's talking about, why don't we just let the Joker go? You wouldn't be killing him. And Bruce saying the only way that we keep from becoming the Batman Who Laughs is by sticking to who we are. I know how badly you want this man gone, but you'll not let him die. To be frank, right now we have a bigger damn problem, the Joker. And the only way we beat him is by staying true to who we are. Whatever the hell it takes. So here Bruce is injecting himself with every single form of anti-Joker serum possible. That's how you introduce a comic. We see the peril that our heroes are in, our villains are in, and then there's another death, another Bruce Wayne. With the death of this next Bruce Wayne, we see Commissioner Gordon and Bullock on the scene. And I like how Gordon says, the thing is, he seems to have fallen from a height that's not possible, given the stature of the surrounding buildings. And I like how Harvey's always kind of nonchalant. He's like, hey, welcome to Tuesday in Gotham. But here's the thing. You start to notice Harvey seems a little off. And you see Gordon goes, psst. No one but me knows that Harvey is off this week, getting treatment for a hernia. Everyone thinks he's on traffic punishment. He'd rather that than hernia rumors. That said, you're usually better at this disguise thing. Are you okay, Batman? You seem off. So, of course, Batman's supposed to be a master of disguise. But because of the serum, the Joker serum, working its way through him, or should I say Joker toxin, he's not at his A game. He makes an observation about why all these Bruce Waynes are coming into the main universe, because there's certain things that are missing from them. So I'll let you guys read that to kind of understand where this leads into the next event. It's interesting in this book because it makes sense later down as we continue further into the book. But I hate that it kind of continues on into another event. But what I liked here is you can see it's an older Bruce Wayne. And Batman says each of these Bruce Waynes lived a different life. This one was married, had children. This one was mayor. From the pictures in his wallet, he looks like he was happy. Seems to have been retiring from being a playboy around the time his ward, Jason Todd, died. So you're thinking, wow, okay, so this Batman's older because the death of Jason Todd was way back in the early 80s. So I like that they kind of show what Bruce would do if he decided to retire Batman at different stages in his life. Now, again, because of the serum coursing through his body, the cadets try to kind of joke around with Harvey, but then you see the change in the eyes. And I like how Jock, with the use of the artwork, you see this kind of blood red background. The colors kind of go mute, and he snaps at this cadet. And Gordon's saying, if something's going on with you, you can tell me. But Batman, being who he is and plays close to the chest, just says, let's continue with what we're doing. And they start to talk about this thing called the last laugh, meaning how to fight infection, and how Batman essentially has it set up in Wayne Tower. And because the Batman Who Laughs is him, knows the same things he does. And this elevator attendant recognizes Bruce's voice. He's blind. He's a victim of one of the Scarecrow attacks. And what's interesting is the Batman Who Laughs doesn't kill this man. So I don't know if there's just because there's that certain part of him, because his name's Bill. He goes, "You're one of the good guys, Mr. Wayne." "Thanks, Bill. That means a lot." And as he enters the last laugh area, we see him explode as the demon that he is. And the violence is just gratuitous, the way he uses his butcher knives and batarangs, and the way he moves to take out all these security guards. And because he is both Bruce Wayne and the Joker, he's able to, after make this attack, he goes in 3, 2, 1. And here comes our world's Batman. And again, I know a lot of people have said that they're tired of the Batman Who Laughs, but I enjoyed the character from the fact that, it's Batman fighting himself, but without his moral compass. And that's where we learn about, where is it? Hold on for the panel. The Grim Knight. And the Batman Who Laughs says, even his bullets have bullets. The deadliest man alive. He's us if Joe Chill dropped the gun in the alley and we picked it up. It's not just the guns, though. No, on his world, he has Wayne Enterprises weaponized, chips in our GPS, valves in our water filtration. Your minivan drives off a bridge, you never know who killed you. And so this Batman, even though I don't like that he's a murderer, it's interesting to see what would happen to Batman if he didn't have scruples but didn't have the effects of the Joker, like the One Who Laughs. So again, this is sort of like the Punisher version of Batman. So again, I know people are like, oh my god, so much Batman. He's one of my favorite characters. So maybe there's a little bit of bias there, but it's interesting to see how this longtime character, what would happen if he did not have any scruples about him. So the major focus of this issue is this last laugh protocol. It becomes more predominant as we continue through the book. But I like how, because Batman's infected with this Joker serum, and the Joker himself said you have to become him to beat him, and how Batman's just desperately relying on the Joker for help, to the point he doesn't even care that Joker knows who he is. He just wants answers on what the Batman Who Laughs is planning. Now that leads into Jim Gordon having to revisit parts of his past that he's ignored and has neglected. And I don't want to give that away. I want you guys to read the book, because as we move on with this character, the book gets more and more tragic. Now, with that said, the Batman Who Laughs, for me, the what do you call it? The 7-part miniseries. This was good. Jacques' art just adds to the terrifyingness of it. Scott Snyder really stepped up his game, and I was really hoping that this would be the conclusion. But as we got The Infected, Year of the Villain, Hell Rises, and all those other events, it was like, okay, we need to take a break. This was too quick to keep moving forward and led into death metal. But this alone, damn fine read. So we'll eventually go back over issue 3. As I said, I just finally said screw it and picked up the collected trade because I didn't want to keep taking my singles out of the Mylar bagging. But I loved this series from the minute that I picked it up, and it's been absolutely amazing. Let me know what you guys think. If you've enjoyed this comic book, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and either get the single issues or the collected trade as you see here. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little laughing bell next to subscribe, that was where we continue to upload content. You guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.